let's talk about coping mechanisms for a minute. Coping mechanisms, especially on the emotional or behavioral level, is all these things that you do in order to sort of regulate your state out of chaos and into alignment. So we use all kinds of things as coping mechanisms. Like people drink alcohol when they're depressed. People overeat when they're stressed. People go out on Friday night and do things that they would regret afterwards, because the feeling, like the confrontation with all the emotions that you have about the week that you had, is just too much. So we have all these mechanisms, and there is a bit of a slippery slope that we can go down, which is that coping mechanisms are bad. And the reason I say that it's a slippery slope is because it's just not inherently true. It's not necessarily true, because life was designed to include coping mechanisms. Like this life as a human being, like the way we are just made, setting aside all societal structures, setting aside all technological and human-made stress factors, life as a human being is super difficult. Like we are probably the only mammals that are not ready to survive when we are born. Like we depend on our parents 100% for years, like for the first 15 years or so. It's crazy. Like no other animal has that. So that means that we are not fully developed when we enter this world. So there is this sort of transition phase where we are still an unripe fruit. We're still ripening. We're still going through this process of definition. Like we're not yet clearly defined as children, yet we are perceived as individuals because we are in our separate body, right? And we have our perception, like our unique perception already. We have the senses and the way we perceive life and the way we conceptualize of reality, as it all is ripening and building and defining itself. This, by definition, is just super stressful. Like even the moment of birth is the first imprint of separation. It's like it's a traumatic moment in itself. Like even the most peaceful birth still implies for a being, after being in this super cozy, warm place for months, where you're just being nurtured and you do not have to do anything, you don't even have to breathe, you're getting kicked out of that into a hostile world where everybody has their own free will around you and they can do whatever, like they're unpredictable, and you have this world that floods you with sensory data and floods you with questions, and there is this need for navigation. There is your need to use your own free will and take decisions with every breath, basically. And there's all these needs that you suddenly have that you need to learn to take care of. There's all that. So of course we have coping mechanisms, and the main distinction for me here is between coping mechanisms that are natural, that we have developed over thousands of years as a species, and coping mechanisms that we created very recently that we do not yet know the implications of, and that we are starting to see large-scale negative consequences about. And of course, there is grayscale between these two So the more natural coping mechanisms for us, probably by far the biggest one is connection. When a human being is stressed, the very natural thing that we would do is to go to another human being and get ourselves a hug or a cuddle, get ourselves some comforting words, get ourselves a second opinion on something. This is what we would usually do this is what tribal cultures still do to this day. And tribal cultures usually do not have things like depression or burnout or all these modern sort of disease definitions that we have, because they still have the habits, the sort of healthy habits of using the coping mechanisms that we are designed to use. Now, we forgot quite a bit of that. We forgot mainly to use our emotional guidance system, like the emotions as a compass, as a source of information about what we are about. Like most of us are not able to use emotions anymore to feel, to understand what is my state right now. And because this is what emotions are designed to do. They're designed to tell you what your state is and what you need at that very moment, so that you can decide which way to go and what to do about it. So with that, most of us throughout our days are not really in an embodied state. We're usually in our heads. We're usually thinking a lot, mostly about things that are not connected to our current needs. And we do not read our emotions, and we do not use each other. Like, people are as lonely as we have ever been. People have as little meaningful friendships as we ever had in recorded history. So it's completely understandable that we have developed these other mechanisms that involve substances, that involve overeating and overdoing things, and that involve these devices here, social media. And my invitation, the only thing that I can think of at this point is that we have to unlearn these new habits in order to get back to those coping mechanisms that are actually healthy to us. Because let's be honest, in a stressful situation, before you even feel and recognize yourself that you are stressed, you're probably already scrolling. Also, let's be honest, this is probably not solving the problem. And third point, let's be honest again, if you did not own this device, if it would not be available to you, you would probably go to a different person and ask for support. So the only thing I can think of at this point is that and it's an invitation just to relearn what is your natural reaction and relearn this is why I'm teaching emotional literacy, because this is a big puzzle piece in recognizing your own needs even, which is one of the many things that emotions are designed for. Okay, here's an experiment. I'm not telling you to sell your smartphone, although that would be a great idea. Give it away. What I'm suggesting is do this experiment for 24 hours, for one day. Walk around with that question in your mind. What would I do if I did not own this thing? Just sit with that question. What would you do in each and every moment? Like when you are eating breakfast and reading Instagram stories, whatever. What would you do if it was not there? Would you talk to that other person next to you that you are not talking to? Would you feel sad? And maybe it's just okay to feel sad at that moment. Nothing wrong with that. Just consider a world where the quick fix is not available to you? What would be the other, still quick, but a bit slower fix for you? And would it involve nature? Would it involve a walk outside? Would it involve being barefoot on the earth? Or calling a friend? What would you do?